One.
Good afternoon. The speech that I'll be informing about is the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The bombing of Pearl Harbor will live in infamy in the minds of Americans for all time to come. For the cowardly invasion of the Hawaiian Islands marked the doom of the nation of Japan, for they awoke the sleeping giant. It was December 1941, and the Second Great War was going on millions of miles away from the United States. President Franklin Roosevelt was trying to declare a peace treaty with the country of Japan to not engage in the war. Declining the offer, Japanese commander Yamamoto Isukuro commanded a fleet of air pilots that had a surprise for the nation. On December 7th, 1941, around 7 a.m., a commander of the Pearl Harbor ships noticed a fleet of aircrafts coming towards them, ignoring the call because they had a shipment of B-17 fighters going their way. Little did they know, the soldiers at Pearl Naval Base were going to have a rude awakening. A Japanese air pilot flows through the clouds with a swarm of 360 aircraft fighters following behind into Hawaiian territory. Then, the first plane drops a missile upon the target, and in the first 30 minutes alone was the most catastrophe that happened. The Battle of Pearl Harbor lasted a total of 2 hours of pure destruction and devastation. When the attack was over, 5 of 8 U.S. battleships were destroyed and sunk, and more than 200 U.S. aircrafts were destroyed. 1,200 were wounded or severely injured, and more than 2,400 American soldiers were sadly killed during the attack. Some Japanese aircraft fighters were destroyed in the process as well. At least 30 planes, 5 midget submarines, and over 100 Japanese fighters were lost during the fight. Some of the planes were planned to go first, kamikaze, suicide bombers. Burning flesh, drowning bodies, broken debris everywhere. It was a devastating sight, especially for the hospital. Rushing people in and out of rooms trying to keep them alive. The sight was a living hell. Only few survived, but it left a brutal impact on them, for they will keep that in their memories for all the days that come. The History Channel states that on December 8, 1941, President Franklin Roosevelt declared war against the Japanese after the devastating day. So for the next 4 years, the U.S. was in a long fight with the Japanese for World War II. Then, in 1945, sadly, President Franklin Roosevelt died. Vice President Harry Truman took over his spot as president. That same year, President Truman was trying to find a way to end the war, convincing the Soviet Union to join the war. Months later, the German army decided to forfeit the war, but the Japanese kept on fighting. President Truman and his men had a special meeting about how they wanted to stop Japan. After meeting with their allies and defeated Germany, the United States were going to force with the Soviet Union to overcome the battle against Japan. Instead, they had a better decision. They got some of the smartest scientists to ever live to create the ultimate atomic bomb. In the article by AtomicCentral.com, it informs that on July 26, 1945, the first detonation of the first atomic bomb was at Alamogordo, New Mexico. The first bomb was more successful than expected, so they had a nuclear weapon ready to be dropped upon Japan. Little Boy, the first atomic bomb, was boarded upon Enola Gay, which was then dropped upon Hiroshima, Japan's 7th largest city. In minutes' time, half of the city vanished. In an article by Jennifer Rosenberg on February 29, 2016, on AboutEducation.com, she quotes a statement by Staff Sergeant George Caron. The mushroom cloud itself was a spectacular sight, a bubbling mass of purple and gray. You could see it, the red core inside, and everything was burning inside. 2/3 of the city was completely destroyed. 60,000 of the 90,000 buildings were completely burnt to shreds. The population of Hiroshima was at least 35,000 people. After the blast, approximately 70,000 people died instantly. Then, a couple days afterwards, another 70,000 people died of radiation. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second bomb named Fat Man was dropped upon Nagasaki, creating more chaos and destruction, hoping to make the Japanese surrender. Then, on August 14, 1945, The infamous war, World War II, was crumbled as Japan crumbled in their own defeat. Thank you.